It's live now.
Yeah. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the pre-program information webinar on ISB Chief Technological Officer Program. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes till everybody joins in, and then we can start the web. Thank you. Attendees are joining in. We'll just give it a minute more, and once everybody joins in, then we can start. Perfect. We'll start now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you and thanks a lot for joining in the pre-program information webinar on Chief Technology Officer Program offered by ISB Executive Education. It's an absolute honor to welcome you all in this webinar today. Uh, Here in this webinar, we'd also like to know a little bit about you. So any information that you might want to share, any expectations out of this webinar. So we have two dialog boxes. You can either put it in the chat box. And if you have any questions, any concerns about anything in the that you want clarification on, then we have the Q&A dialog box also. So any questions that you might face during the webinar, you can just put it in the Q&A box. And then towards the end of the webinar, we'll pick it up and then we'll answer your questions. So if you have any primary goal for considering this program, any expectations from this program or anything from this webinar, we'd love to hear from you, and you can just use the chat box to enter your responses. I'll quickly talk to you about the webinar agenda that we have in hand today. Firstly, I'll just walk you through the program overview. I'll talk to you about the program, about the ISB Executive Education and how ISB is impacting careers. I'll introduce the key speaker today. We have a champion speaker amongst us today, Mukesh sir. I'll quickly introduce him to you in some time. Then we'll also see who all should attend this program, what are the program highlights, what are the learning outcomes, the program modules, the learning journey, and why the certificate and why you should learn with Emeritus and the application process. So if you see this program, so we have been seeing that CTO roles, CIO roles have been coming up lately in the market. So this CTO program is specifically designed for that. It is a 24-week long journey by ISB Executive Education, strategically crafted for senior IT leaders who are aiming to excel in the current technology-driven environment through the CTO training. This is designed for leaders with 10 plus years of work experience and who want to master the strategic complexities of high-level technology management with the CTO certification. So this program start date is 28th of June. We are just starting a batch this quarter end, this month end. The duration is 24 weeks, and the expectation is that we expect 4 to 6 hours a week from you, including the pre-recorded content as well as the online live sessions over the weekends, a combined of 4 to 6 hours a week. The program fee is 6,31,000 plus GST, and any graduate or diploma holders with 10 plus years of experience in the industry can join this program. Now, I want to introduce ISB Executive Education as a brand. Like we all know that ISB is one of the best universities in the country. It's recognized as number one in India in the Financial Times Executive Education Customer Rankings 2025. It empowers participants with the skills, mindsets, and networks required to manage and lead in the evolving landscape. It is one of the best universities that we have in India. They have a lot of global reputed faculties, and the programs that they design are meticulously designed that students gain perspectives from both advanced management research as well as the vast experiences of their peers. So peer-to-peer learning and meticulously designed programs are their forte. Now it's an absolute honor to introduce Mukesh sir, who is the CTO and Executive Vice President of Capgemini, who is the speaker for today. You must be seeing that we have intentionally reduced the font size of this slide just to accommodate all his achievements and his awards. He's a champion person, and he is a techno-biz innovation leader with the experience of working alongside luminaries like Bill Gates, Satya Nadella, and Mukesh Ambani. He is currently the CTO and Executive Vice President of Capgemini, and he leads AI-driven innovation, orchestrating cutting-edge initiatives at the intersection of technology and human capital globally. He has been awarded the Visionary Award, CTO of the Year, CISO of the Year, Unsung Hero Recognition, 25 Tech Leaders of India, and the prestigious title of Global Top 50 CTO by Y90. He holds a master's degree in software systems and a specialization in analytics and artificial intelligence from BITS Pilani. He is also an accomplished TEDx speaker 3 times, a motivator, an executive leadership coach, and an author of 2 books. He is the national convener of AI at GITO, and he's leading social cause of spreading AI knowledge and adoption across the community. He has nearly 3 decades of experience in leading AI-driven large-scale product innovation, analytics, machine learning, IoT, people analytics, sustainability, ESG, and he has held key senior positions at Microsoft, Geo, NIC, and VFS Global. So we have a champion speaker amongst us today, and anything and everything that you want to know about this program, it will be shared by Mukesh sir. He'll be able to guide you through all his industry learnings, all his experiences. And it's an absolute honor to welcome him today. And it's a great opportunity for everyone in this webinar to interact with him and ask him anything and everything about this program. I'll hand over the mic to you, sir, and you can take it forward from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you. I didn't realize you're going to read the whole introduction. Thank you. Nice to connect with all of you. Good afternoon to all. So one of my learning, right, it's been 3 decades. One of my learning always was, being as an engineer and growing into lead and manager, and now as a CTO. One of the major learning always was, what next? How do I find the solution for even the smallest business problem? Most of them powered by technology. But I'm sure all of you have been using AI for the last 2.5 years, in generative AI for the last 2.5 years. But some of you probably also know that AI has been there for quite some time, as early as 1956. And I've been using AI myself for the last 33 years now, actually, right? So we'll talk about some of those elements. But the main focus of this session as a CTO, the journey. What does it take to become a CTO? So a lot of people ask me this question when I'm meeting them. And this program is actually not just giving that answer, but also equipping each one of us to gain those leadership skills and build those parts. It's not a technology program where you say, hey, you learn cloud, learn the programming, learn this thing. No, it's not about that. It's about how do you leverage what you already learned, what is required to lead a technology strategy for the organization, and most important, how do you drive that innovation? If you notice, there are 3 types of companies. One set of companies, mostly product companies, likes of Microsoft, Google, or like large companies, building products. There's another set of companies, which are manufacturing company, retail company, telecom company, and there's also service company like Capgemini, Infosys, Cognizant, Accenture, others. So each one of them, the role of a CTO, the role of somebody to lead technology, have a different perspective. So what we have done is we created the content in such a way that you could be in any of these kind of companies, and you're doing this, either you're creating something which are used by millions of users. I'm sure you use Outlook, right? Or Geo. I built Outlook 1999, and I had the honor to write the Microsoft first ever AI algorithm 26 years back. And when I did that part, I used by so many people, right? You're creating a product which are used by millions of people. Compared to when you're working for retail, manufacturing, and all, you're actually building some of those innovation there to empower this company to be able to do better cheaper, and faster. And at the same time, when you're doing it something large scale thing for a service company like Capgemini, Infosys, and all, you're doing it for our clients. So all these parts, the roles, right? What it takes to become a CTO, we'll be covering this in the session. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So the way we have curated the content is a combination of a content which is 150 hours, which is pre-recorded. The whole focus is we will be able to learn something which is ready to use it at your own pace. That's the key part. Second part, live sessions. The live session are the fun where we interact and you are bringing in the as elements from the ISB faculty. At the same time, bringing in a lot of masterclass by industry experts. I'll be one of them. There'll be a few more. Talking about real life stories. When this was built, what was the background? What it took to build us? How this failure was caused? How do you build something large scale like Aadhaar? Right? When you build this anti-money laundering solution, what it goes into that? How does the data strategy come into picture? All those nuances curated in a module, you'll be able to understand those part. You also have one-day immersion program at ISB, wherein you'll be coming to ISB and then we'll be looking at interacting with all the leaders, market leaders, and at the same time the faculty to be able to understand and have a better networking as well. The key part which I love about this program, the capstone project, where you'll be actually looking at the problem statement and seeing how you'll be able to build a whole end-to-end strategy around those. Now, as a CTO of the organization, you're the topmost person, but you play a dual role. Okay, first, yes, you are advisor to the CXOs, you are advisor to the leadership team, and that part, how does it come? Hey, I'm good technically, I'm hands-on, I want to do something. Yes, all of those things good, but can you be the advisor? Which direction we should go and how we should do this part? And the second role, internally, how can we motivate the team? How can you drive the innovation culture and all? It's given that you know technology and you will get it delivered. It's given. But this part, all of those parts comes very well into the case studies. We'll be covering 12 case studies where we go deep into those part about what it takes to solve a particular problem. So if I ask you today, right, let's say Uber want to expand in, let's say, Mumbai and want to increase the market share by 10%. How would you do that part? And the obvious answer, which I will always get is, yeah, do more branding, do more advertisement, give more discounts and everything. No, we are technology people. We are CTOs. We actually come up with the idea of what it is required. How do you understand the benchmark? What is required? Is there any challenge in the technology part of it? How will we be able to do data-driven decisions? So those part, as a CTO, you will be driving those discussion and all. Gone are the days wherein CTO will be contacted only when there is a technology problem. No, every business problem is a technology problem now, right? So this part about the learning part of it, the 3 action learning program, what we are going to do, will actually help you guide you over there. And then of course, when you're talking about it, the 24 weeks program, right? We'll be having office hours as well, when you will be able to pick on a couple of slots with the leaders, and you can actually have a conversation, be it your career, be it about how to move forward, could be anything and everything. And that's something which I love because, definitely is in that networking for me as well. But most important, right? Looking at the problem statement, like how we can solve this particular problem. Some of them with technology, some of them with strategy, and so on. Next slide. So the outcome give you enough confidence that you can even apply for a CTO program, CTO role. Give you enough confidence to understand what it takes to become a CTO, the roles, the responsibility which are there. And I can tell you, pick any CTO job description. 70% of them is same across the organization. Right? But if you want to get into CTO position, right, what it takes to get, what are the good path, what are the roles which you will get into those will be covered in the session. And then one of the important element is the technology landscape, which is earlier used to change every few years, then it a few months, and now we're talking about a few days or weeks, right? So with the technology landscape changing so fast, and the classic question people ask, oh, with generative AI, are people going to lose jobs? Of course people are going to lose jobs. There are a lot of people who do not adopt AI, who do not adopt the technology change. So yes, in this program, we'll be covering those elements as well. How do you look at the technology landscape and groom your leaders? At the same time, continue to bring the value about it. Otherwise, you and me are getting obsolete as well, right? So the strategy part is the most important part, what it will take for us to be ahead of it. Now, when you look at Digi Yatra, when you look at UPI, when you look at Aadhaar, it's not like something somebody can just build it overnight, right? It's a whole ecosystem has to be created. You have to think through all these use cases and all. And I'm sure some of the projects you have done, you have got some flavor of it. But when you're building a system which is used by 1.4 billion users, yeah, it need to be something, right? So that's what the whole scale come into picture over there as well, right? The data, the analytics, the machine learning and AI part of it is intrinsic. Earlier, there should be separate division. At some point, it was part of software. Now, most of the companies, it is part of the CTO program to have the data analytics and AI part of it, because it's not about can I use generative AI to write my emails? Of course, you can do that part, but that's bottom line. That's automation. That's improvisation. But how can you use AI for the top line? How can I get more business with AI? And I'm sure when you look at recommendation given by YouTube or Amazon, and I'm sure several times you click on the recommendation because the recommendation is so good that you want it. And that's the ROI for them for using AI to do the right recommendation. Even before you think about something and you get something, of course, you'll get the right point. So that linking the technology piece to the business element is what you're going to get excitement about this part. Okay. The leadership skill, when you talk about it, it's not just about I'm the boss. Yes, as a leader, you are the boss, of course, right? But the more part is how do you influence? How do you motivate? How do you get things done with people? And those are the things with as a CTO, those are some of the expectation. And I'm seeing more and more CTO becoming the CEOs of the world. I learned a lot of things from Satya Nadella. I worked with him very closely for 4 years. And he was not a CTO at that time, but of course, he was more a technology leader. But yes, when he grew into the CEO role, imagine a technology expert becoming a CEO in future, right? Yes, they will be able to do those. It's not about technology that I can write a code. It's about I know how to use the technology piece. Those are the focused learning outcome. When you say, yes, I've learned something new. I know, I'm sure you want to think, oh, technology focus. Yes, you can learn a lot of things on YouTube for free. But no, it's not about that. It's about the skills. It's about the case studies. It's about how you'll be able to position yourself as a technology leader is a CTO position and get the value. Next slide, Saurabh. So of course, there are a lot of things. I'm not going to go through each and one of the details. But if you look at some of the modules, like the way it is crafted, as I mentioned in the beginning of my session today, the whole journey, right? As a developer, what it was when I offered from Microsoft in 1999 to become a developer in Word or tester in Outlook, I chose tester in Outlook. The recruiter was amazed. Why tester? I said, why not? I've already done development. I want to learn testing. I want to learn product management. I want to learn project management, program management, data science, AI, sales, marketing. And now even HR at Capgemini, I'm doing some of those work. Which means if I know everything, jack of all trade, master of some, not none, some. Which means I have enough knowledge of the breadth that I'm confidently able to talk into any conversation compared to, hey, Mukesh, you don't know how sales work, right? Nobody can say that. You have been there, done that. Those are some of the needs that I'm sure some of you may have already done some of the roles. Not necessarily everybody is required, but you need to understand the part. And that's what the introduction is all about, understanding how this role evolves and what is the difference between CTO and CIO. I know some places people say CTO/CIO. No, it's completely different. Understanding those parts is important so that you understand that as a CTO, what all you will be driving. Yeah, I don't have a team, the large team in Capgemini, right? But I have enough small team, but enough for it to influence 350,000 employees, the work we do, right? That's what the focus is, innovation. So you'll understand what the role really means of a CTO in going forward. Some of you may already know about all this. The whole strategy part of the business strategy part as a catalyst, right? So you cannot just have a CEO and a COO and a CFO run the whole company. If you don't have a CTO, if you don't have technology strategy, what will happen, right? The whole piece about digital economy, the whole piece about how do you get into people's mind, okay? And then excite them that something they will do this, but it's not about getting more money from the same user. It's about giving them more value for that. Yeah, they're ready to pay more. So when I initial years, when I heard about sales, people say you can go and sell a comb to a bald guy, right? And I said, no, that's wrong. But instead, if you're a good salesperson, you help the people at the value, then they'll buy more from you. And that's exactly what as a strategic catalyst is. So getting into the part of how technology plays an important role, okay, in those pieces and getting those. As you can see, right, it's not about teaching you how cloud works, but teaching you how the technology becomes strategy is part of it here. The whole digital ecosystem. I remember and cherish my days working with Mukesh Ambani directly, wherein in the late time, the calls used to happen late nights, midnight and all, meetings, sorry, not calls, meetings. When the meeting happened, and he used to always ask me, Mukesh, tell me how Google makes money. Do you really know how Google make money? How Google advertisement make money? How Google Map make money? Right? The whole element about how it started and everything and all. So I used to continue to coach Mukesh Ambani and then his leadership team about how this really works. And the main purpose was, how can Geo become that player? Okay, having 400 million users, how you can have the digital economy working, and it's all about an ecosystem building part of it. So those things you learn so that you can do the same thing for your business. Some of them at a 100 million user scale, some of them it could be a 1 million user scale as well. Okay, the whole part about innovation word, if you see the CIO, the word innovation doesn't come as often. Nowadays, a lot of companies have started even hiring chief innovation officer. There was a big hype in the year 2000, 2020, 2022 range. There are a lot of innovation chief innovation officers were hired, but slowly they realized no, it had to be bundled. It had to be bundled in the CTO role. So CTO role includes innovation in most of the organization. Okay, so this part, what is innovation? Think about it, right? And I can tell you, last 7 years in Capgemini, I'm loving my role primarily because I get to innovate in anything and everything, right? Medical, healthcare, banking, insurance, retail, aerospace, and I have really good meeting with some of the top airlines folks to be able to see how AI can really help, how technology part is there, and it's all about this thing. Think about it, right? The monitoring, the observability, and so on. If you think about it, right? How can I make sure things are reliable? Those part people say, yes, I'll have monitoring in place. Yeah, of course. Does it really work? I don't know if you saw the outage we saw two days back on Google. Right? So those are something, right? How do you have the strategy around those parts to be able to minimize the cyber attack, minimize those parts? What else is required to get there? Learning from Microsoft for 13 years and learning from Geo, learning from a lot of the companies, and now learning with other clients. That is how I've learned and I've grown into the role, right? And then exactly, I still think I'm learning in my job and I'm getting paid for that. Okay, those things are there. The innovation comes more handy like according to that. Let's go to the next slide. Talk about module 4 now. So this piece about getting the mindset, innovation, all is goes further into how do you build a portfolio. Okay, so I'll just give you a simple example, right? When I joined Capgemini, one of the things which was I was talking to the sales team, the business development team, and I used to always ask, oh, how do interaction with the client happens? Oh, client come and ask A, B, C, D, and we say yes, we can do A, B, C, D, and we do A, B, C, D. Amazing. That's how all any company will do. Anybody will say, yes, we'll be able to do it. But I was also thinking about it. How about we change the innovation with the portfolio focus and say, you ask for ABCD? I'm sure we'll do ABCD. But do you know there's another two, three more elements are required? Is it E, F, and G? And that's the main additional part. As a CTO, as a salesperson, right? So sometimes it may not sound natural to you, but yeah, CTO as a salesperson because you are actually focusing on the portfolio, right? How does this fit best practices? I'm sure some of you have heard about this phrase called Sam Dam Dand Bhed, right? But then it's not about just about using this part as in a negative sense, but in the positive sense, which is if I go to the client and say, you know what, you really need this, this is the value. The client will always think, some of the client will always think, oh, Mukesh is trying to make money. Of course, we are trying to make money, no doubt. But the client will say, oh, Mukesh is a trusted advisor. He's actually helping us. He's also helping the other client as well, right? Who could be a competitor, but he's helping us to get this part, which means you are making them even better competitive. So as a CTO, you are not a salesperson, but you are helping the client with the innovation part of it. And yes, 2 out of 10 cases you might be able to win. 1 out of 10 cases you might be able to win. 9 cases you not, but at least they got something to learn. And that is also about portfolio part of it. Okay. So once we are done with this pillar, we are going to move to the next pillar, which is on technology, architecture, and development. Right. Some of you may have done this for 5 years, 10 years. Some of you, it may be new. So the program is for them, some of them is refresher. And for people who are from non-tech background, they'll be able to understand how does really work. Now you might ask, can a non-tech person become a CTO? Of course, why not? I've seen so many people who are a great domain expert. The passion for learning technology. Not necessarily you're doing coding. Remember, by the way, I still do coding as a CTO, but it's not about doing coding. It's about knowing which tool to use when, and knowing and respecting how technology really works. So the whole part of the CTO, one of the expectation is you are the chief or the key architect of the company. Yes, there might be a chief architect position also, but most of the architect will report to CTO, because you are actually driving the whole part of the connecting between the business and the technology landscape part of it. So those will be covered in this area, which we're talking about more and more about how this really work and how architecture evolves. I'm sure some of you have done some architecture in the past, okay? And some of you have done architecture which is also used by hundreds of millions of users. Those elements about what it takes to build those systems. We'll be sharing some success stories, some and lots of failure stories of how Microsoft lost Hotmail, failure stories of how MSN Messenger was a big hit at some point, and then it lost its market share in 3 days. What was the main part of it? And then of course Geo, okay, how it was built and so on. So all these parts of as an architecture, what is required to do that part, how the fail-safe work, how the disaster recovery work, and also talking about data diplomacy. I don't know if you've heard about those parts. Nowadays, there's more and more part is that, for example, if our data center is another third-party country, and for some reason our relationship with the country goes worse, what happens to our data? Those things are also data embassy, data diplomacy is also into very interesting part. So as an architect, you're aware, you should be aware of it. Again, I'll repeat, architect, it just doesn't mean that you're a technology person. Architect also means that you know all the other part. Should I do this cloud? Should I do that cloud? Which cloud is more costly? These also come into picture. Will I be able to get skills? Should I have strategy of starting something in Gujarat, or should I continue to invest in Bangalore? By the way, that strategy also I was leading there, where we expanded the Gandhinagar footprint, primarily because to get good talent at a reasonable price. Then we go to module number 6, where we talk about the whole part about product. As I told you, right, it could be a product company, it could be a internal IT or CTO for the internal organization, or it could be a CTO for a consulting company, right? More and more productization is happening now. More and more productization, SaaS, software as a service, platform as a service. A lot of those things are happening part of it. What it takes to get there, right? I've been to product all my life, right? Last 7 years, I'm into consulting, but all along I was in product, right? But now when I'm in consulting, I'm actually doing what? I'm helping organization to get the product mindset. The whole part in this module 6 will be all about how do you think about those part of software development, my life cycle, agile methodology, whatever that is, to bring that product, to get that product from 0 to 1 and 1 to 100. Those pieces will be covered. How do you come up with the MVP? How do you build all those parts? So all these parts with the GTM, go to market strategy, will be there. You might argue, hey, I'm not going to be in product. It's okay. Okay. You may not be, but that's okay. You still need to know how it works. So that when you're building a product, you know all those parts. And then again, testing, right? When there's testing come into picture and all, we talk about testing in production, we'll talk about experimentation. A lot of those things we'll cover. So you understand how a product is built. Some of you may remember, Microsoft used to take 3 years to build Microsoft Office, one version of Office, 3 years. Microsoft Windows, 7 years on sometime, right? But now bringing that to a place where it can be done in a faster pace, how does it really work? How does agile methodology really works? All those parts we'll be covering here. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Now comes another interesting part. Neural network, generative AI, all of those spaces becoming more and more interesting, right? But not just focusing on how neural network work, how generative AI work, but just talking about it, how this influences your decision making, how it influences the top line, the bottom line part of it and all, and also getting more and more into the part about how you digitalize, how do you do digital transformation, how do you leverage some of those. And I will be emphasizing a lot more about how do you differentiate between a broader AI and a small subset of generative AI. How do you differentiate between the two? While you continue to use generative AI to get a lot of automation done, but still not losing the focus of AI, because that's where your data, your analytics, the machine learning and all will actually help you get to the next level part of it, right? So we'll be talking about case studies. So as I gave you example of Uber, let me give an example of, let's say, YouTube, right? So when you watch a YouTube content, and after the end of the content, in several cases, it automatically starts the next content. Okay, when you start the next content, you I would say 80% of the time you continue to watch the next content. Okay, and that's the part of it which is your implicit yes. When you click on a content, that explicit yes. When you search for something, that's also explicit yes. When you click on recommendation, that's something. So how do you capture all this information and see whether your recommendation engine is working or not? And that's where we'll understand how you can get the Mukesh who had a budget of 3 minutes today is watching for 6 minutes, which means you're able to upsell Mukesh, even though his budget was only 3 minutes to watch. Those pieces, those strategies with AI with generative AI, how you will be able to use neural network and get into people's mind and understand what do you want. Instead of asking what do you want, hey, this is what we think you want, and getting to the point wherein you're getting more business from the same customer, right? So we'll talk about the strategy. We'll talk about how Amazon recommendation engine work, how Netflix really make money out of it. All those parts we'll be covering those. So when you're talking about it, it's not about neural network work like this. This is how the propagation works. No, we know technical. I can do this part, but you're better off learning from some of the other content. But the usage, when, where, how you'll be using this. So that is a key part about it, which I love talking about it all day or night, right? And then of course, some of the other parts when we talk about is the non-fungible token and talk about the blockchain and all. Why it taking slightly longer to for the blockchain to kick off and everything. The AR VR part of it, not just the fun part of it, the excitement part of it, but also the real part of it. How AR VR can actually help drive more benefit, and the metaverse, the cryptocurrency. A lot of those pieces you should be aware. One thing I've not mentioned the name so far, but I'm going to mention it now. Miss Know It All, Mr. Know It All. At some point, the CTO becomes for the organization Mr. Know It All, Miss Know It All. And I remember about 15 years back, my daughter once told me, Dad, you are Mr. Know It All. I thought, no, I'm not. But then I thought, why not? So with this, you saw the breadth of what we are covering. You will be able to become that Mr. Know It All for the organization, which means the CEO, the first thing they want to call is you for the future. Okay? And somebody else, well, how are things going on right now? So that's how you will be positioned and all. Learning those parts, how it works, and a lot of time it's all about these things didn't work, this thing didn't work, this is working, so that you learn from all of those parts. So let's go to the next slide. Then comes the next part, which is the pillar number 3, technology management. Right? In some organizations, the innovation directly reports to CTO. Some organizations, the whole software department report to CTO. In some cases, the CTO have a very small organization. Right? The whole piece about that in emerging technologies part, right? What the future looks like, right? Are you really connected with all the alpha programs of Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, right? Are you really knowing and exploring some of the new technology? How much are you vested in open source part of it? You do really understand all of those pieces. And then if somebody asks you with DPDP, what changes you need to make, will you be able to answer all of those parts? So all those pieces become more and more important on the emerging technology, how it works and how it will be the impact of this for future time, and then translating back to the business. Then we'll cover the module number 10, which will be about cybersecurity, cyber and tech laws. Should be aware of the laws. I had an analysis of 180 different country requirements. Not all manually, of course, but also not myself, but there are my team members, a lot of them does that part. And it's easy to remember, right? You just have to write down and then let's say thousands of lines of this thing you'll know, and then somewhere it is there. And when I say easy to remember business, it's easy to document. But no, the interesting part is when there are conflicting parts. I had one experience when I was working in my earlier organization, VFS Global, which was Canada and Russia. Both the law says Canada, anybody traveling to Canada, the data should reside in Canada. Russia, any Russian citizen data should be in Russia. So if a Russian citizen wants to go to Canada, where will the data reside? So those interesting parts, you need to understand those parts so the architecture makes into picture. Let's say you can disaster recovery, you are using Germany or you're using UK or you're using Europe. How does the GDPR come into picture? A lot of those parts need to be understood. The laws you should be aware of the laws and all that's so part of it. I was also part of Niti Aayog when the DPDP law was created, right? So definitely getting the first-hand information, understanding and debating what clauses should be there, not there. Very, very interesting learning out of that. We'll share that as well. The last part on this topic about cybersecurity, cyber tech laws and all is important for you because whichever technology you're using, you need to be aware of those parts, especially if you are using the technology of not so friendly countries. How does that impact? And if the data really going out, and how often does it go out? And do you really know the India law? All those parts are required, especially when we are having a team in India as well. And the governance piece, right? The whole governance framework, how this really work, the strategies, the potential risk and everything and all, right? So even though you might have another person who is a CIO, another person who is a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, another person who can be a Chief Data Officer, as a CTO, you need to be aware what each of the roles are. In some organizations, CTO reports to CIO. In some organizations, CIO report to CTO. And in some organizations, CTO and CIO both report directly to the CEO. Okay, your organization structure could be anything, right? But what I found out, CTO and CIO directly reporting to the CEO is most effective because CTO have a full head in terms of innovation and all, and that's what is expected from the role. Next slide. Okay, so the value chain, right? How it comes and all. So if you look at it, any economics, right? I'm not an economics expert, but if you look at any economy, right, it's all about the ecosystem and the chain, how things work, how things move around, and so on. Is very very important, right? It could be we're talking about supply chain. If you're getting into the more about this one about inventory optimization, understanding the demand, could be any of the combination. The main part over here is how you'll be able to do forecasting, how you will be able to help the organization. So this, when you go a little bit more detail, you get an idea about it. That it's not just about talking about, hey, we should use AI. When you go into that level of detail, they talk about, hey, when you talk about supply chain in Europe, crossing the countries and all, we have to be respectful for both the countries' law as well. Okay, that happens. And when you're drawing it for long distance travel, look at, is there any mountain? Is there any snowfall in the mountain? Is there any roadblock? A lot of these things have to be thought through. All of those, right? So all these things, when you translate into next module, which is getting into data-driven decision making. So I talked about top to bottom, which is about scenario, strategy, and so on. But we also talk about bottom to up, which is about technical details about how this thing really works. And then we talk about the horizontal part, which is your influence, which is your driving the influence or making the change in the organization, meeting the leaders and talking to them about, right? How do you bring that culture of data-driven decision making part? Okay. And then going to the part about, whole supply chain part of it, about various industries, like in retail, in healthcare, service sector, how does it really work? Also, where else blockchain can be applied and so on. So when you learn about all this, your confidence goes up significantly and you'll be able to sit and even do solution engineering for any of the problem which you're talking about. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. Uh, So of course, there's the financial part of it, working with the CFOs and everything. You'll definitely learn a lot about it, right? Because not just about saving money, but when you're talking about the deal with the cloud provider, when you're talking about deal, the part of it and all, the profitable, the margin part of it, all those parts are equally part of it. Gone are the days with the finance is only with the CTOs. We cannot do that part, right? The next organization leadership and communication becomes the important part, because as I talked about, right, it's we cannot do everything just as a CTO. You will need a people, we will need an organization backing out of it. And yes, communication plays the important role. So as a CTO, what are you need to be conscious about, careful about when you're communicating part of it, and especially in the change management piece. Because considering you are a CTO, you're not the super boss of everybody, right? How do you still influence the change? How do you still motivate people to do a lot of businesses over there, right? So whole strategic execution, the whole part, how you manage, how do you report, and all. And a lot of these projects are very short-term projects, initiatives and everything, right? But partnering with CIO and making them long-term, sustaining them, keeping an eye on those parts, and continue to innovate becomes more important, more and more important. So whole change management part, and essentially about how do you see the ROI part? Is it implemented or not? And is this a differentiating factor when you're talking to the competitors, right? When you're talking to the client and then say that yes, is your company or the competitor, which is better? The differentiating factor is there or not becomes more important. Next slide, sir. Okay. And this piece, it again has to come down to people, right? How do you motivate people? And we all have heard about it, right? People don't leave organization; they leave managers. We also heard about it a lot of time. The people, the movement is for money, but it's more than that. My observation, I also lead people analytics at Capgemini. My observation, people leave if they're not challenged enough. Very interesting observation. I observed when I was doing some analytics and found out I was always in the thing about people, the project which is going in danger, project which is not doing well, and people who are spending 12 hours, 14 hours a day. I think they are the people who are going to leave first. I was completely given wrong, proven wrong. It was opposite. Right? When people see the project is in danger, the whole part about accountability and everything kicks in, and they're able to sustain the project even better. And they have a better connection and engagement. I'm not saying all we should have project in danger, but I'm just trying to say here is you can motivate people by a lot of things. One such things is there, wherein there's the accountability part and the apnapan, what we call in Hindi, right? It's all about belongingness. It's important part is parcel of it, right? So whole part about how do you coach leaders, how do you bring the leadership pipeline and coach them to have those people do more and more motivation, because it's not just about taskmaster. Being taskmaster, task is important, but if you can motivate them to learn something new, definitely they will do wonders for your organization. Okay, especially in the disruption side, right now you see that the a lot of companies are reporting that with generative AI we need to reduce this many percentage of the people and all those things. All those are true, but my argument is slightly different. If hypothetical number I talk about, if hypothetically, if I'm able to reduce by using generative AI, if I'm able to reduce 30% business, 30% employees, or 50% employees in an organization, my argument is, why do you want to reduce by 50%? Why don't you double your business with the same number of people? Right? It's more business, better, right? So that part of age of disruption, when this happens, how do you bring in, how do you jump in, how do you step in and do this part even better for the organization? And then, of course, the crisis part and all those. So a lot of these crises, including Microsoft, some of the crises which I handled myself firsthand, we'll be talking about it, Microsoft Yahoo partnership, how it went, a lot of those things, how what it matters and how do you run successfully. We'll talk covering that as well. So next slide. Okay, and the last slide, of course, the whole piece of communication. As a leader, right, you could be communicating a lot more effectively, but a lot of time you have to communicate a lot more frequently to make sure you are there and you are helping organization build those parts and so on. So whole strategic communication part, what it takes to do this part, and also how the capstone really works. We'll talk about those part, which is the business problem. We'll be looking at it and solving those parts. So in this last set of modules, we'll be covering those elements about how do you very well get yourself involved to like a real life project to get involved and then try to solve that problem as a CTO. We'll be covering that as well. Okay. With that, sort of go to the next slide. Yeah, the whole learning journey. So we will start with the orientation week, which will be primarily focused where you introduce other participants, make networking and all. Trust me, networking works significantly, right? And also look at your LinkedIn, right? How many connections do you really have, right? You need to increase connection because if you have a really good number of connection, your learning is skyrocket after that. Okay? So first week is all about orientation. You'll learn a lot about what things are, how things are going to work, and so on. You'll be meeting other participants, and you slowly started to get involved there. Okay, we'll be having, as I mentioned, the weekly goals. You will be focused on certain deliverables, certain output you need to consume. As sort of I already mentioned, 4 to 6 hours is expected. I would suggest if you're already committing to this, you're going to spend time, effort, and money. If you're doing this part, as well do it right. So yes, I always get this reasoning whenever when the workshops are going on, right? Oh, I'm busy, I got busy and everything. You're busy. But taking out 6 hours, and even inside, if you're passionate and curious, taking out 8 hours a week, right? So if you can do slightly more time, you'll be able to do better. But even 4 to 6 hours, you'll be able to do a course very genuinely, right? The whole self-paced part is done in such a way that you'll be able to do it. And most of the sessions, interactive sessions, are kept on weekends so that you definitely can do this part. Yes, it's a commitment, not just from you, but also from the family members. Okay, so it would be best to discuss with family members also so that they can fully support you on the weekend as well. I do all the time. When I did my master's MTech about 7 years back, I got full commitment from my family that yes, go and do this part. We'll support you. We require that part. Okay. And then of course there'll be debrief session. So one thing I liked about this debrief session is so you learn something offline content, and in the debrief session we'll be covering a little bit more some of those parts to understand you fully, and then talk about it, what works and what does not work, and a lot of your questions will be discussing those parts. And then, of course, the follow up and support. The team will be able to continue to follow up and will be able to make sure you are on track. And wherever you are facing challenges, somebody will be able to help you unblock you there as well. Yes, Saurabh. Okay, so again, everything will come with a reward, and this is the reward, which is the certificate. ISB, as Saurabh mentioned, right, the top institute in India. One of the things will be important, but the certificate part, which gives you credentials that yes, I know CTO program. So if I'm hiring a CTO on any organization, or if anybody is hiring, right, so probability of you getting selected for the interview is higher because you have a certificate as well. Okay, and then not just about certificate on the paper, right? It's all about those parts. And then, yeah, if you're just learning something and if you're not talking about it, definitely how will people know that you are a CTO material? But yeah, talking about it, sharing things on LinkedIn and everything will actually help you build that part. It will be ingrained in all the modules. You'll be learning how you position yourself as a thought leader. So the future opportunity comes walking to you. With that, let me hand over back to Saurabh. Saurabh,
Yes.
yeah, I was on time. Yeah, Saurabh, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session. You shared your life experiences and where you picked up nuances from the industry. That's very informative. Thanks a lot. I'll just introduce the learning partner for this program. Hello, we are from Emeritus, and this is the 12th year that we have been enhancing careers with 50 plus universities across the world. We have students from 160 learner countries, and we have impacted the lives of 2.5 million learners globally. We are a very capable set of people who have been partnering with universities, and ISB is one of such partners, and we are bringing this program to you with the help of ISB. Now, if you are interested and if you want to know about the application process, so there is a way you can do that. You will firstly have to submit the application form with all your relevant enclosures and your attachment and your SOP and everything. And ISB does a review because they cannot let everybody in. So they have a tedious selection process. So ISB will review the application and they will shortlist the candidates. And all the shortlisted candidates will be emailed the offer letter. Once you have received the offer letter, you can block your seat by paying the booking amount. Now, the batch is designed in a way that this is about to start by June end, the academic orientation, and you'll have your first academic session by first week of July 2025. So that is it. If you are interested, you can just submit the form and submit your details, and it's ISB's discretion that they will select and review, and then they'll be handing out offer letters. Now we'll be having the Q&A round. I think people must have already dropped in some questions. I'll just request everybody, even for people who are raising their hands, if they can just put down the questions in the Q&A chat, then it will be easier for us also to navigate and to answer. So anyone and everybody who is having such questions can just put it down in the Q&A box, and then we can pick it up. I'll just start with the Q&A, Mukesh sir, if that is okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a question from Sujay who's asking, can you share the program modules which is sharing now in this on this webinar? So Sujay, you will be able to see all these program modules and everything in this on the landing page of the program. We'll share that with you. If you can just, we have a QR code at the end of this presentation also, if you just want to submit the application. So that will take you to the landing page, and there you'll be able to see all these modules that are covered in detail. I have a question from Urmila. Hi, I have come from academia, electrical back engineering. How can this program help? Mukesh sir, can you just take this?
Sure. So as I mentioned in the beginning as well, this program is for all. You don't need to be from a technical background. Considering you are from academia and you're doing electrical engineering and all, right? And also, I see the next question also from you, wherein you have been into engineering institution for last 19 years, right? So you probably have got involved yourself in a lot of this strategy for the institution as well, and you have actually created a lot of engineering students as well. So with that in mind, right, when you're thinking about this program, you'll be able to understand how this end-to-end part of technology strategy and work, because you have actually got involved in technology for 19 years at least, right? So you'll be able to build the whole piece about yourself as a leader who have 26 years experience total, and now with the focus on technology, how you'll be able to do that. So you could be a CTO to begin with. You could be a CTO for an academic institution as well. Why not to begin with, right? And then as you go forward, yes, depending on which area you enjoy the most, the industry you can select after that as well. So this program will definitely help you with that to become a CTO for an academic institution to begin with, as a starting zone before you get into direct industry role as well. If you're good into manufacturing or mechanical engineering, electronics or computers, depending on which area you have worked on or you're taught, you can get into that area as well.
Shashi has a follow-up question as well. Does this program help me to transit into IT industry where I have zero experience?
Okay, so the IT industry part, as I mentioned, it is not about, you will not be able to coding. Definitely, we are not teaching coding in this program. Definitely not. But we will be able to talk about the strategy part and how it works, what it works. One of the hesitation IT team companies will always have is, you have not gone through the whole journey of from a developer to the project manager to the architect and then a CTO. So they will always have this in mind whether you will be able to do it successfully or not. And having said that, in an IT company, right, as I told you, right, there are definitely multiple roles. So you probably could be getting into the IT company if you want to get into IT company, could be as a head of training and development. Okay. And then slowly move into the CTO role. That also could be another way to get into those. But yeah, just because you've gone to a CTO program and directly becoming a CTO for IT company might be a challenge.
Fair enough, sir. Thank you. There's also a question how the Emeritus and ISB are collaborated and how the process of admission takes place. So, Urmila, we are the learning partner for this program, and we are bringing this program to you in collaboration with ISB. So, I'll talk about the admission process. So, if you reach the landing page, you will be able to submit a form where you submit your details, your email address, your phone number, and your contact details. Post that, you'll be able to download your brochure and submit your application with an application fee. If you submit an application with your resume or your SOP and everything, that will be reviewed along with your academic documents and academical all those achievements and your work experience, your resume. That will be sent to the school, and school will review the application process, and they will get back if you are being offered selection. So the selection takes place at the discretion of the school. But if you have a good enough profile and if you have shared all the relevant documents, then this application process will take place. Now, since we are starting this batch at the end of June and we do not have a lot of days, and the school will also take some time to review the applications. So we would encourage you all, if you are interested, to please start the application process at the earliest. Then if there is any discrepancy in terms of the documents and everything, all that will be communicated from our team only, from Emeritus team. So if any assistance is required in that journey, our team will help you out. And if any documentation is required, they'll be able to guide you on that better also. And then they will collect all your documents and send it to ISP for admission. I hope I answered your question. I have a question from Kishore. Can we get alumni status? Yes, in this program, you do get alumni status. You will be able to enjoy all the alumni benefits that ISB Executive Education has to offer. So you will be a part of 2 alumni sets also. So since the CTO program has been running for a few batches, you will be a part of the CTO Executive Alumni group as well. Also, ISB's Senior Executive Education Alumni group, which is all the executive education that they do, you'll be a part of the bigger group also. So you will have 2 groups to network and build your connections. So yes, to answer your question, you will get alumni status after this program. Mukesh sir, I have a question. I'm having from Anil. I'm having 3 years developer experience and 10 years experience as a business analyst and a product manager. Will this program be useful for me to scale up my professional career as CTO?
So Anil, you have the perfect match of what is required to become a CTO, which includes the product side of it, which is the product manager, business analyst, where you have interacted with business directly, and then actually hands-on for 3 years as a developer. Perfect match. So definitely this will help you, because this will help you get the more broader perspective of what it takes to become a CTO. Right. So right now, roughly you have 10 plus 3, 13 years experience, right? So you are on the right part of this part. And several organizations, people start considering people for a CTO as early as 15, 17 years experience. But for large organization, it probably will require 20 years experience. But this is a good stepping stone. So you understand what all things are there. You learn directly about it, and you continue to enhance your skills. So after the course is over, within few months or within few years, you can start thinking about when you apply for it, would you have all the skills? Because people are not going to say you all. Yes, some company will say, are you already a CTO? But how do you get to become a first-time CTO? The first-time CTO will be something when you go and join an organization, when you show that you have the skills of all the skills required as a CTO. That will be a fun for a set of skills required for the first-time CTO. So you'll be able to get there. So I think the combination is good for you. Already you have it.
Yeah, I have a question from Akash. How long do we have access to the pre-recorded sessions and other learning material? So Akash, you'll be given a portal where you will be getting the material from, and the study material and the case studies and everything. And that will stay with you post you have completed your course as
well. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll take a question from Beg. How do the learning outcomes and career paths differ between the CTO and Chief Digital and AI Officer programs by ISB?
Okay. So if you look at it, right, so the primary focus as a CTO is technology. It does cover some part of the data and some part of digital and some part of AI as well. And the CDA program is primarily focused on the digital and the AI. So if you look at it, maybe there'll be an overlap of that leadership, the strategy part and everything. Probably 30 to 40% overlap would be there. But there are 2 different programs. So CTO will be more technology focused, large scale technology focused.
Got it, sir. Thank you. I have a question from Sujay. Are you going to set up an interview call to evaluate the candidate before the admission process? So Sujay, like I already mentioned, so we just take the application, we take your documents, you take your SOP, your resume and your LinkedIn, and we share it with the school. And the admission process is completely up to the discretion of the school. If they find you are a fit for this program, then they will roll out selection letters. And then at the end of the selection, once you have received the selection letter, we come into the picture where we just take the booking amount from you to pass it on to the school and to block your seat. So selection and admission, everything happens at the discretion of the school. We do not take interviews. We just pass on your application, your documents, on all the other relevant SOPs, your resume, your LinkedIn, and everything to the school, and it is up to the discretion of the school to make the selection. Okay, I have a question from Archana sir. My name is Archana. I have 24 years of experience specializing in HR technology, specializing in HR systems, strategy, and roadmap creation, application development, deployment, and post-production support, and sustainability. Seen all applications from PeopleSoft to SuccessFactors to Oracle HCM and the likes. Led the largest programs for SuccessFactors implementation for Reliance Industries, Geo, Reliance Retail, Reliance H&H Hospital, and Reliance Life Sciences. Will this program help me in my career as a future HR CTO or others?
Yeah, so Archana, a very good question and really good experience, breadth you have already achieved. So you already have done technology part of it, right? So definitely becoming a CTO for any organization will definitely be good. But also look at it, right? So there are several companies who are into HR solutions as well, right? For Aon, if you look at it, and several companies, hundreds of thousands of companies who are into this area. So you could be also a good fit for a CTO for those organizations who are actually building some of the solutions which are used by several organization HR department. So you can look at those part, and you have options because you have a good HR backing as well. You can do a CTO for a HR tools organization, or you could be a regular CTO for a regular organization also. HR CTO term is not very common, but yeah, you could be the head of technology for an HR organization, which you probably are already doing to a certain extent. So yeah, it's possible to do that very well for you. So yeah, definitely the scope is very high for you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir, for taking that. I have a question from Anil. Throughout a course, all the session design faculty lectures online or only recording sessions or mixed kind of sessions? So Anil, throughout the weekdays, you will be given bite-sized videos, 10 to 12 minutes videos to consume at your own pace, because this course is specifically designed for working professionals. So we expect 4 to 6 hours maximum from them. So you'll be getting some pre-recorded content over the weekdays to consume. And once you have consumed and you've grasped some knowledge, you might be having some questions and everything. So that is being taken care in the weekend online sessions that you have. Now that are led by faculties, that are led by industry experts in master classes, as well as through Success Coach. So you have a mix of all the three in the weekends that you participate in, through master classes, through sessions with the Success Coach, and through faculties. So not only recording, you will be getting bite-sized videos which you'll consume at your own pace, but there will be live online sessions in every weekend. I hope that answers your question. Rajiv says, I did mention in the presentation that faculty will not be joining every week. Then how will that weekly classes take place? Will the recorded classes be played every week? No, that is what I mentioned, Rajiv. So you'll be getting bite-sized videos, which you'll be consuming at your own pace from Monday to Friday. And then essentially on weekends, the sessions will be taken by either faculty or an industry expert in a master class or a Success Coach, where you'll be able to get real life case studies given, real life learnings will be shared, and you'll be able to interact with your peers there. So this will be more of an interactive kind of a session on weekends. That will be either on Saturday or on Sunday. And then, yes, this is how the weekend live online sessions are planned. There's another question. Currently under CTO role with 12 years of experience for the company of 20 plus employees. Should I go for the CTO course or any other leadership course? Mukesh, sir, if you just want to answer.
Sure. So of course, I've seen a couple of startups as well, a couple of companies as well, person graduating from college engineering, and in a couple of years they become a CTO, right? So definitely, if you're already CTO, that's great. Congratulations for that. But you're talking about 20 people company, right? The scope of influence, the kind of learning and all is slightly limited for you right now. Right? But I would say there are a lot of courses. Of course, there CTO course is just one of them. I think what you will be able to learn here will be, be able to become what it takes to become a CTO for a mid-sized organization or large-sized organization. That is something which you're going to learn. So definitely, it will be good learning for you. Other leadership course, I would suggest, as you're in a technology domain, right? The technology role, technology parts will become better for you if you want to continue technology domain. But if you want to get into, let's say, finance, if you want to get into sales and all, other leadership course would help you there. But since you're already a CTO, it's a most respectable role in the organization. I would still recommend to you to go to the course and then enhance your skills so that you can jump into a bigger company, mid-sized company, 2,000, 5,000 people, and do CTO role, and then you can jump on to a lakh plus people and companies as a CTO.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Archana asked, when are the weekend classes? Which days and how many hours? So, Archana, the weekend classes are either on Saturday or on Sunday. And these classes are for 2.5 hours to 3 hours. And she also has a follow-up question for you, Mukesh sir. It has been my experience as to when it comes to being recognized as a tech person, they expect a person like me to know coding of software development as a hands-on person. How can we bypass that aspect?
But it's not about even at my role, right? People expect me to be technical, but nobody expects me to write code, right? So being technical is different than doing coding yourself, right? So here, I would say that depending on years of experience, which I'm not able to detect from the massive question, but Archana, if as a tech person, can you speak the tech language? Can you understand the technology very well? That is what is expected, right? And with the CTO program, you'll be able to even go one step further and be able to say that yes, this technology part, which is there, this is how it will impact the business. Or for this particular business side of it, we'll be able to use this technology part. So that part people will expect you to know. So yes, this will be important. As far as the hands-on part comes in, it's not about hands-on means you get your roll your sleeves up and start coding. Hands-on means if some problem comes in, when they ask, will you be able to answer? Will you be able to understand difference between this cloud and that cloud? Will you be able to understand the database and data difference between those? All those part is expected as a hands-on person, right? So a lot of those things you'll be learning in the CTO program. But yeah, as you start practice, as you start reading more, as you start going through the recorded content, you'll be able to get that confidence that yeah, you can speak like a techie. Of course, as I mentioned, we'll not be teaching coding, so we will not learn coding. But coding is not what people are looking for. People are looking at, do you know technology? Can you speak the technology language?
Perfect, sir. Also, in the interest of time, everyone, I'll just take a couple of more questions and then we can close this session because Mukesh here is also busy. I'll just take a question from Mohammed who says, after the course, how can we find roles who are looking for fresh CTOs without prior experience?
As I mentioned, right, it's first time part, right, without prior experience. The only way to get this is you promote yourself on LinkedIn by using those skills, right? Let's say there are 20 things a CTO expects you to do, right? You start practicing in your current organization some of those, and then you start talking about I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm this, and then when people look at it, right? For example, a small company, 100 people company, 200 people company, they cannot afford a CTO of a 2,000 people company. So what they will look for? They look for somebody who is already exhibiting the CTO kind of capability. They'll be look at those, they'll search on LinkedIn, find you out, and then you can get those roles. You can always apply to the roles, right? But if you're directly applying for Microsoft CTO, definitely it'll be a challenge. If you are directly applied to a 1 lakh employee company CTO, it'll be a challenge. So start small with that. But again, the way you market, the way you put your LinkedIn makes a whole difference. Whatever you're going to learn in CTO program, we'll be also covering this part. How do you enhance your profile and everything to be able to position so that when somebody is searching for a CTO, they'll not search for CTO, they'll search for some other skill also. Your profile can come on the first or second page on the LinkedIn as well.
Perfect, sir. Thank you. I'll just take one last question from Sambit. He says, I have a total of 23 years of experience, 21 of that into IT, starting as a developer, business consultant, architect, program and practice manager, currently working as general manager or unit head. Also have 2 years of own startup experience. Will this course be relevant for anything else?
Samit, the kind of experience, expertise you got, and the startup and everything, I think you're the perfect match for this course because you will be able to uh, uh, go as a CTO in an organization, a good large organization, also because of your years of experience, and actually build that startup culture within the organization because you have been there, done that. Plus, drive more and more innovation because you have based on what you've written, you have done variety of things in your current role or multiple role in the last 23 years. I think it will be a perfect course for you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering that. So if anybody is interested in taking this program, you can talk to our program advisor and have the other questions that you might be having answered. Here is the contact detail that is shared on the screen. His name is Haris, who is the program advisor and team lead for this program. You can just scan this QR code and you will be redirected. So that's it from us. Mukesh sir, any closing remarks that you want to share? Anything that you want to? Otherwise, we are good to close this session.
Thanks, Aaron. I think the content, everything was good. I think people got a good understanding about how this program works, and more important, like what all is required for us to become visible in the market that we get some good opportunity also. So good part of it. Looking forward to interacting, whoever is interested, looking forward to interacting with you in coming weeks on this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mukesh, sir, for taking your time and for this insightful session. I'd also like to thank all of you for participating in this webinar today. And thank you and have a great day. To you too, Mukesh, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.